I'm going to hit the gavel here and welcome to the City Council meeting of, what is today? 13th. Okay, June 13th. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll call, please?
Mr. Shilen?
Present.
Ms. Gray?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Ms. Reclue?
Present.
Mr. Shiverdecker?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
Present.
Mr. Vaughn?
Here.
And Mr. West.
Present.
8 council members present.
Very good, thank you. Pastor Bruce Williamson is with us this evening. If we all rise, he'll lead us in our invocation.
Dear Lord, that report we just heard, that's real energy. It's really a blessing to have these kinds of servants in our community, and I'm grateful for her and for those she represents. I'm thankful, Lord, that that brings hope and a future to all of us. Live here and love this community in our home. Thank you, Lord, for her and for the larger community she serves. I'm grateful for this beautiful day that you've given us, for the privilege we've had to live it and to be in your presence. Lord, I need to remember the farmers tonight in all this heat and hot weather. I pray for them as they get the hay and harvested, starting to combine wheat. I pray for their safety in the fields as they move equipment from farm to farm and do the hard work of feeding us along the journey. I pray for rain for the row crops. Whenever you're willing to send it, Lord, it'll be a blessing to the corn and the beans that really add fuel to our economy here locally and roundabout. I want to pray, Lord, for a couple of events that the community will experience in the next few weeks. This weekend, Lord, with the street fair local celebration, I pray for Fulton Police and Fire and the first responders and ambulance teams and all those that will be in place to keep the public safe during this outdoor event. And I just ask your blessings, Lord, on that safety and good weather throughout this coming weekend. And Lord, with all of the Little League games and all the parks in the city very active as kids are out of school, I just pray, Lord, that we'll all be vigilant and be a strong advocate for our kids as they enjoy their summer vacation. It's our responsibility to see that they're safe, and that's all of our responsibility. I pray tonight for the following, not limited to my list, but these that I know need your perpetual and daily maintenance that are connected to our city family. Mrs. Bush-Joes, and Lord, I want to remember Gabriel Polston and his parents, and Mayor Benton, Chief Myers, Mr. and Mrs. Reclue, Mr. Chilen, Mr. Moore, and any and all others who need your daily maintenance and care physically. I pray for this session, as always, and ask your blessings on all things discussed and any decisions that are made here tonight, that they be pleasing to you and edify our community. Thank you for your love and strength and kindness. I pray for our council now and our mayor as they work and lead this discussion. In Christ I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it. At the beginning of each council meeting, we set aside a time for individuals who live within the community who have a issue that they would like to share with the council to come forward and do that. We just ask that you limit your comments to no longer than 5 minutes, and that will be timed by the clerk. And we also ask that you give us your name and your address. So at this time, I invite anyone who's present who'd like to address the council to please come forward. Again, the council will not answer any comments, but again, may take it up later in the agenda. Seeing no one coming forward, we'll go ahead with the next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. And on that agenda are 3 items. Basically, they're appointments of Andy March to the Demolition Board of Appeals, Louis Beatty to the same board, Andy March also to the Board of Adjustment. And all those individuals will be alternates on those committees. So is there any item there that someone would like to take off the consent agenda for further discussion, a more detailed discussion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, very good. So all those folks are appointed. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to unfinished business. We've begun a time or two discussion on the consent agenda. I think we've got some concerns over the consent agenda. If you'd like to bring those forward at this time, and or you guys kind of tell me it's your discussion.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I have expressed my feelings about the consent agenda, and I don't know, I just don't think the word's getting out as, we don't discuss 5K runs, we don't discuss the 4th of July parade. People don't hear that listening on television or listening on their computers like we did when we had people here representing them particular items and get up and tell about it, and I just don't care for the way we're doing it right now.
But did it make any difference in the attendees by somebody coming up here and saying we're having a 5K run for whatever? That's part of our responsibility. We have a newspaper, we have all kinds of ways to get, you have your coffee clubs and all this stuff. There's all kinds of ways to get the info out. And little miss over here is very good about itemizing what's coming up. So you're going to know in advance what's going on.
I know in advance, but the public doesn't know in advance.
But I think part of that is their own responsibility. This is their community and they want to be active in it, then that's part of their job.
Could be. I disagree.
Okay.
Well, that's what freedom is about.
Yep.
Is there any other comment or?
Well, I was one
Go
who
ahead.
had concerns about it. But I'm not, as they say, some Cal regions are stubborn about change. But I'm willing to go along with the consent agenda in the fact that we can, like the appointments tonight, I didn't have a problem with that. But I do agree with Councilman Vine in that I think that a couple of weeks ago you read the consent agenda, what was on it. And if we can read what's on it, not in like detailed discussion, because anything we want to discuss we can pull off. I can live with that as long as we read it to the public. It don't have to be you personally, Mayor. You can make one of us read it since we're the crybabies of it. But I mean, then I think that would get out so someone would hear what is on the consent agenda. So I'm kind of torn in it, but I can live with it that way. I think it can work by what the rules are here right here.
Well, again, the only other thing is I'll just remind you all that if there is an event or anything on the consent agenda, you can always pull it off and then you can highlight it. So, we're primarily when we went into it, it was just but anyway.
And our Madam Clerk informed me that when I get my package and there's something on there that I want discussion, if I call her, she will make sure they send the representative.
Sure.
Yes, I understand that too.
Yeah, we definitely, yes, I think it expedites our meeting, and it's basically housekeeping, and most of the items that we place on there in our minds are housekeeping items, and are items that we think pretty much everybody's going to be in agreement on. But again, like I say, it's still your meeting, and we don't, just because I recognize it as something I thought that that you could handle on a consent basis doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that way. So it's still your meeting, sure. Yes, did you have something, Mike?
Sure. Well, like last time, we brought the DOA report off, which I'd like to talk about at a future work session.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just to, because we're spending a lot of time producing that, and I'm wondering about why. And we've been doing it ever since I've been involved with the council. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. I think the DOA report, if we're going to continue to have it, needs to be not on the consent agenda, and, you know, like we have under new business today, and that's a perfect example of what shouldn't be, and reflects good judgment on the part of the staff. So, you know, I'm kind of in the middle of the road. We're here to represent the people, and we shouldn't be just in a hurry to get through the meeting. And that's what the concern I have, that it might project, but so far I think it's been tolerable.
The first meeting, along those same lines, the first meeting, if you recall, we had the financials
Yeah.
report on the consent agenda.
Right.
And the second meeting, I decided at that point that should not be. We should talk about that.
Right.
And because it allows Ms. Holslag to brief the community on what's going on.
Right.
And kind of in the vein of what Richard is saying. So, again, so we're continuing to refine this as we go. I do not disagree about the DOA report.
Yeah.
The DOA report is a way whereby y'all are reminded of what's happening and
Right.
what's being accomplished that you budgeted first of the year and so
I like
forth.
that.
So
And there is a lot of good information there.
it's an important report also.
We could continue to include it in the packet, but just not put it on the agenda.
I'd like to talk about the structure and what we're putting in it and why we're putting it in. Some of the things are just, you know, it seems like our staff's spending a lot of time putting it together, but that's this discussion item for a future time, I think.
I think I'll just echo what Steve said. I think if we all take the opportunity, look to see what the clerk's putting on the consent agenda and what the mayor believes would be a natural thing to be on a consent agenda. We take the time to make sure we're reviewing it, give the clerk plenty of notice. We'd like for this to be pulled off and ask for a representative to be here so we can talk about it. And I think over the next few months, we'll come to a natural flow of what lands on the consent agenda each time and what we're okay with and what we're not. If we get 3-4 months down the road and everybody's taking a chance to pull something off the agenda, then it's obvious that it's not going to work for us.
Yeah.
But if we get to a point where, okay, these 3 or 4 topics seem to be naturally okay on the consent agenda, then we do it.
Like the 8A, the request for the memorial shelter, had they not requested it every year, it would have been on the consent agenda.
Sure.
Correct, yes.
But since there was that twist, we talked about it, it's like, no, that's not going on the consent. There's an issue there that we need the city council to know about, discuss, and think about. So, I mean, we put thought into what goes on there and what doesn't go on there.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean just because we think it's okay for the consent agenda, like everybody's alluded to, if you don't think that one of the items belongs, pull it off.
Take it out. Here's the-
Personally, I don't see anybody standing up there saying, I want to have a 5K run for a relay for me saying, okay, go ahead and do it. I don't see that that's going to increase that at all. I rely on the old newspaper there. You've got church members. You go out and you have McDonald's. There's other forums. You don't have to. Everybody knows you're going to have a 5K run, and you know who's in charge of those things. That was my thought, was that there's just so much that comes up here that I don't think it needs to be brought to us to approve it. I mean, I think the chief needs to know whatever's going on, but I just don't see that it's our responsibility to say, yeah, you can have a 5K run, or you can do go down to the
I
splash
think,
thing.
I think,
Beverly,
and
I
I'm
think
sorry
it's an
not to interrupt you.
opportunity for them to
I think
advertise what they're doing
Yeah.
and why they're doing it. I mean,
there's
I
certain
loved when,
events
you know,
you need
when,
to, we have to have the council approve certain things, just like he was talking about with tonight's request. If there's something special on there that's gonna go against city policy or something
Right,
like that, then we definitely need to make
Yes,
sure
they
you're aware of
But there
it.
again, I think that falls back on the three of you shoulders.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Deb, but like Richard's saying, before there was some runs, but the chief has done a good job of taking people off of public streets. You might, you know, we breathe a lot, or you do other, and you all have jobs. You know, someone will call you up and say, well, my street's blocked off down here, they doing this or that. Sometimes as a council person, it's good to have the knowledge why it's blocked off, and you can give them an answer, and you don't have to call somebody. But we don't do a lot of blocking off in the streets, but like public auctions, sometimes we close the street to let them have it, so sometimes it's good to let the citizens know what's going on.
I don't know, I just rely on my newspaper a lot and the community in general.
Not everybody takes paper.
Yeah, I understand, the price went up.
Very good.
Well, I'm
Okay.
the one that brought this thing up because I had talked to several of the council people and I was hearing some rumblings out there and I thought we needed to look at it. And as I listened and thought about it, there are some things that need to be on the consent agenda, there are some things that are not. And what we need to do, we need to make a decision, what do we want on there and what do we not want on there? Now, if that, in case it's somebody just sit down and put a list on us and let's go by and highlight, yeah, this comes off, this stays on, this comes off. But what happened was, it was thrown at it was too broad, took too much stuff in. Because when we looked at the packet, all of a sudden the packet wasn't, it's not the size of the packet, but wasn't anything on it. So what we're saying is that we need to take a look at what do we really want on the consent agenda, what do we do not.
You know, you take, one good example is the 4th of July parade. Yeah. We just approved it. I take the paper, I get on our website, I don't know what route they're taking. I don't know where they're gonna line up. I don't know what veterans that they're honoring this year. We knew that every year that I've been on here, except this year.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
That's just one of my sticking points, but same thing with some of the other things. I do agree with what Wayne had to say. There's some things that, you know, like the appointments that are on here today. There's not much discussion into that. I understand that, but not everything we do, I don't feel like should be under the consent agenda. And I don't know how you would come about trying to figure that out, but
Well, let's do a survey.
Yeah.
Let's have
Well,
Courtney.
normally you get your packet on Friday, you can review
Thursday.
and then let her know and we can pull it out by the time Tuesday rolls around.
I think through our discussions, we are coming up with a pattern or a plan of how to go forward.
Right.
I think we have
And
to.
it's just like I said a minute ago, you know, we had identified the financial reports, we've taken that off. Mike doesn't want the DOA report on it, or he wants it standalone. So we'll take that off. And you know, as you see things that you think need to be discussed, if you'll just give Courtney a call or me or whatever, you know, just let us know, we'll pull them off. And if it gets to the meeting and all of a sudden there's one that, and I know those things happen, that sometimes you don't have a real chance to review your packets way in advance, so you know, you don't have to give them a call. Like I say, the way the consent agenda is designed, that's one of the reasons I kind of liked it, is he gives you the flexibility of pulling off a topic,
I like that.
and then we can discuss it based on what the information we have that night. So, but it also, when it comes to parades and that type of thing, it's cleaned up a lot of issues that maybe we didn't do in the past because we put them on here. In other words, of checking with the police, you know, we've given Courtney the challenge of checking with the chief, and so he definitely gets an idea of what's going on before the meeting, and whether or not he needs to do any follow-up on it. So
Well, since we passed it and he's probably been followed up with, can he give us, is it the same route or where are they lining up? The chief? Does he know that?
I believe Mr. Beaver spoke with the mayor, and everything is the same time. This year we've just been informed this week that they are not highlighting veterans this year. They're going to be making a change, and they're going to be honoring
Public safety.
police, fire, EMT, emergency services.
good.
And that was something we were just notified of this week.
But there's still a service trailer, I understand.
I believe so.
Serviceman.
Okay?
Same route as
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just one more quick thing, and Councilman West. Earlier today, I happened to run into Mr. Johnson, and I was discussing the UA report. And you might remember in the mid-2000s, where our DOA report from a department head was current stuff that they was working on to inform us. I know there's a lot of good information, but I just think some of them are getting longer and longer, and do I really want to know about the bugs unless it's a problem or not? So we could
Right.
cut that down some, so I
Yeah.
agree with you in the discussion of that.
Well, at one point it was up to 80-something pages, and it has come down some, so.
It's come down some, but
Well, if you give Bill those guidelines,
Yeah.
he
So
will talk
highlights-
with the department head.
Highlights only, highlights and lowlights, average, leave it on.
right.
Yeah.
Normal, here guys, normal doesn't show up, good news and bad news.
You got it, yeah.
Yeah.
We can
But
do-
I still like the police report and the fire report about how many fires per month. I like that
like
part.
that.
But I guess
usually
they
read
The
can
number of
include our
calls
man.
and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And the city engineer usually has a lot of project stuff that's pretty good to have too.
Covers our 80 pages.
So you
Covers
need
our-
to,
Covers our 80 pages.
so pretty much don't change anything.
Yeah, pretty
I'll
much.
come talk to you. I'll come and talk
I
to you,
think that's
Bill.
pretty much.
But don't change anything, but set it back.
Yeah, no,
Pretty
I
well
didn't say that. I was saying current. Well, you got like the
Okay.
4th Street project. It hasn't started, but when it starts, you can put on that. I'm looking at current stuff that you're working on. I mean, there is some good information, but I just think it's growing a little bit larger, and we could cut it down.
We-
more.
Well, I don't know if we did, the folks out there can agree to this. About 7 to 9 months ago, we trimmed it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know and I don't think anybody ever really said anything,
I don't
but
know.
we cut pages and pages and pages out of it. And guys, we'll do it again.
I mean, it's important that the fire department and police department and all these different groups go to have training, but
Yeah.
do we really need to know how many hours every fireman, contact hours each one has, and,
And I don't mean to pick on that specific,
yeah, that's just
at
one.
one point in time, that was asked for,
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
specifically asked for. It's like, okay.
And that councilman no longer even lives in town, just so.
Okay, hey, guys,
That was
we'll
Nick
give it a
Morris.
shot, and if we cut too much, let us know, if we don't cut enough, let us know.
There you go. Sounds good.
Okay, that's fair.
That's fair, yeah.
I'm gonna err on the side of cutting too much. And see what we can get away with.
These are all documents, again, that are designed to keep you informed, so you're aware of. And, if we don't get your feedback, it'll go the way the department head or
Yep.
Bill or I decide which way it ought to go. So,
And how
Yeah,
much of it
that's
is,
fair,
how much
but
of
I
it is
was-
legally required?
None of it.
Exactly.
Ooh, none of it.
So why are we spending the time doing it?
I like
Other than,
I do too.
I like parts
do
of it
too.
too, but
I do too.
well, let's,
Okay.
let's continue
we'll
to
challenge the
communicate,
staff.
and we'll go from there, yeah. Okay,
What
very
do you
good.
say, Bill?
Well, if
See, there's been a
nothing else
challenge
there,
put out
we'll
to you.
move on to new business. United Way has requested some support or the use of Memorial Park on Friday, September the 15th. Then they'd like to do an annual reservation for the facility for the third Friday in September for this event. It's a radiothon, I believe it is. No, it's our kickoff, I'm sorry. And So anyway, they'd like to do that for forever, so, in perpetuity, or whatever that word is. Okay,
There were supposed to be
Discussion?
some representatives here. I'm not sure where they are, but Mayor Benton highlighted that very well. They're asking for use of Memorial Park on Friday, September 17th for the day. And then they're also asking for an ongoing reservation. Clay is also not here. However, and I think Bill can kind of attest to this, that typically Parks and Recreation does not do long-standing reservations. Their past policy has been that as of January 1st, anyone can come in and make a reservation for any date until December 31st of that year. So the policy is they do not do recurring reservations. So that is one of the reasons we brought this to you guys tonight. It would definitely involve a change to the policy, and one that I believe Clay has been adamant that he's not in support of.
Courtney, is this a true written policy, or is it our normal practice?
I believe it is an internal policy for Parks and Recreation, a written policy.
So something that is written there.
But then again, I'm not Clay.
And that's why it's coming to the city council.
Right.
I mean, it's just kind of because Megan's not here and Clay's not here, would a option for this evening be to go ahead and approve it for September 15th of this year?
Yeah.
And
That's
just
fine.
and ask for Clay and Megan to come to a later meeting
Like
to
more
discuss
input,
the,
more
Yeah.
input.
I agree with that, but I put my opinion in there.
Me too. Go ahead.
I would stick on the side of Clay and the Park and Recreation, because there is a lot of Relay for Life and a lot of other groups. Then the parks would always have these standing dates, and we do have citizens that are starting to use our parks now for family reunions
I
and
agree.
different
Right.
things.
I
I'd say
agree.
support Clay.
That's my opinion.
I vote we follow the policy, and we
I-
not amend the policy.
I do too.
I agree with what Mr. Moore said. That's the exact same point I was going to make, is that if we do it for one,
Nope.
then I want my organization to have it the first Saturday of every September. You know, and it's just going to be
Gonna go on and on
go on and on until it's all locked up and no citizen can ever get in there.
Right.
Mr. Stone, was your motion to not amend the policy and to approve their event reservation for this year?
Is that my motion?
That
If
encompass?
if I need
Yeah.
to move to approve this year's, because I'm assuming that Clay's office can do that on their own without the city council, correct?
No.
just make it in your
Let's lump
motion.
it all together.
Just put all
Make
the
it
above.
one.
Yes, that's my motion.
Okay.
But explain to them, because.
And I'll second.
very good. I have a
We got it.
motion and a second. Does everyone understand the motion?
Yep.
And
Would you
is there
please
any further
repeat it, Mr.
discussion
Mayor?
of the motion?
Would you please repeat it, Mr. Mayor? Have Madam Clerk repeat the motion.
Certainly. The motion was made by Councilman Stone to approve Friday, September 15th, 2017 reservation and to not amend or allow standing reservations. So
Very
the
good.
current policy will stand.
Worded good.
I agree with that. Yep.
Everybody clear on the motion?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, very good. Yeses have it. The event is approved for September the 15th. Next item on our agenda is the solid waste container placement discussion. I'm not sure I know where this came from. JC, do you have any? Oh, okay. Down that way. I think it must be Steve.
We know where it came from.
Hey, use two fingers.
He's pointing fingers, pointing fingers.
Let me ask real quick, is there a proposed change that's part of this, or it's just a discussion about the existing ordinance?
I believe, it's Mr. Moore, I do not know.
Okay, but the
Councilman
printed
Moore.
ordinance in our package does not reflect any changes.
This does not reflect any changes.
Thank
This
you.
is what is current.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller, would you please bring the microphone up?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So we can hear you there. Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
I want to hear his lovely
I
voice.
was told by one person that it doesn't say that you must bring it back in your ordinance, and I didn't think that we had to think that all of our citizens were little children or something and think you didn't have to bring your container back to your property, but apparently, so I guess that it says 24 hours before, and there was an adult reading that says, well, it doesn't say when you have to bring it back. Now, I think that's being a little, so a change that, the only change I'm looking at that we can put in there is that you must bring it back at a certain time.
Because some individuals are leaving theirs on the street permanently.
Yep.
And some of the older streets, by the time you got a car here and a car here and a couple of dumpsters there, you can only have one lane of traffic going through. So I think they should.
And this complaint comes, and I'll talk to you later, but I bet it comes off some of the same streets. That they tired of just seeing them out there all the time. They
Yeah.
never take them off. They're off in the sidewalk or out in the street.
I even thought you had to put them inside, but that's not the case.
Not now, I think at one time it
Was it that way at one time?
was out there.
No.
Years ago.
According to the ordinance, you don't even have to move them from the curb.
All right.
Right now you don't.
But you
As
did.
soon
But
as
that's
you
what I
take
read.
it back now, come on.
So,
Says you can put them out 24 hours before, but it
trash
doesn't say
pickup.
you have to bring it
They'll have to
back.
put it back.
That's 24 hours starting when?
before your date.
Before your trash
day-
pickup.
Your trash
So I could
pickup.
put, my pickup is on Monday, so I could put it out Sunday at Monday, or Saturday night.
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning at midnight.
And then Monday's a holiday, so it sits there then.
Nope, can't do that.
So would you like us to draft an ordinance 24 hours before and 25 hours after your day?
25 after.
24 hours.
24 hours,
He was just bidding it up.
24 hours before your day and 24 hours after your day, and we'll sit around and try to decide some verbiage.
Some verbiage.
I mean, if Friday's your day, no one's gonna go out and enforce it on Sunday.
Why don't we just have it picked up that
Yeah,
day?
but
Why don't we just have it put away the same day?
Yes, that sounds
And we'll
fine.
just authorize the
think
police to go
25
write tickets.
25 minutes.
you're gonna hire a whole bunch of staff.
Could I have a motion directing the administration to rework this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second directing the administration to rework whatever that ordinance number is, 94-112.
Thank you, JC, for all of your information.
It's been a pleasure. I'm glad to be
Adjusted that
helpful.
microphone.
Any further discussion of the motion?
Well, how are we gonna enforce it?
And
Is it-
what's the penalty gonna be?
Yeah,
That'll be all included in the ordinance.
Oh, you're gonna
I don't wanna get something that's unenforceable. I mean, I know what our desire is, but
Well,
is it gonna be the same as our long grass and everything else we deal with?
Under council concern, I have a thought to that, so you can hear what.
You gotta have due diligence.
Yeah.
Well, does it pertain to this?
Well, that and cars.
Why don't you just talk about the part that
Yeah.
pertains to this?
Okay.
And talk about the other part later.
Well, on this one, I don't know if it's legal or not, but if the chief could give Casey the ability to write those, she's out driving around anyhow, so she can stick them.
Oh, listen, she's out
Well,
there
they're-
riding around.
they're
like
current.
she's-
Well, I mean,
Isn't
she's
the
out doing
54.
other work. I didn't mean that derogatory, like she's not doing
If you're
anything.
gonna have a law, you gotta have a penalty.
But there currently isn't one.
Let us do the research, we'll write it up. I think we've got an idea. We'll try to throw the enforceable piece in it to where there's tickets issued, and then we'll go from there. That way they, if we issue a ticket, if I'm not correct, then they can go, when it goes through the courts, that allows them due diligence, and they can fight it and so forth, so, okay. Any others discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
JC.
Might not want to leave, yeah.
Okay, I might also report, since JC just left, that he and I are going to Kansas City Thursday and to attend a conference by Ripple Glass on it's basically on a discussion on how to promote your glass pickup. I did check with glass recycling. I did check with JC. He has pulled that container at least once. What'd you say, there was 2 tons on it? 2 tons on it, yes, sir. So that's 2 tons of trash that did not go into
Wow.
the landfill.
That's great.
That's good.
Yeah, and that's been about 30 days, I think, so, anyway. And he is working on a second container, so we'll let you know about that.
See, JC, I
Keep
told
you
you they
updated,
wouldn't
yes.
recycle for you.
Yeah. We're leaving at 5:30 in the morning, if anyone else would like to go with us. Meet us here at 5:30. Okay.
Had to work. If it was Friday maybe, but not Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, I think.
We'll move on to council concerns.
Okay.
Rick, you want to start it?
I just want to bring up one thing. I'd like to revisit the requirements or the what it takes to get your name put on the ballot for electing for city council. Also, if there are no people running against council members, then maybe we cannot even do the election or whatever. So I'd just like to bring that up. I think we need to look at that again.
Save some money.
And
On the second part of that, I am thrilled that you brought it up. I have contacted our state senator and state representative like every year to try and get them to introduce something along those lines, and have been unsuccessful. The average election probably costs us $8,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
And when we have everybody running unopposed, it seems like an excessive waste of city taxpayer funds. But we will do some research, and we'll contact our senator and rep again to see about them introducing some legislation next year.
Yes.
Maybe we
I
can get in
believe
the middle
you
push.
checked with Richard Nim. I thought there was a bill introduced
a couple of years
in,
ago,
well, just this year.
was it in
I think I thought I read one that was on there this year. I don't know if it made it out of the House, though.
Some, and I'm talking out of my head here, but like if you're a third class or a fourth class town, there are situations where you do not have to hold the election if the number of candidates is equal to or less than the number of openings. But as far as a home rule, I don't think that's the case right now.
And I'm not sure what the connection is, but we do this for the ambulance district here in town. There's only one person in the running unopposed. We don't submit it for the ballot, and it's allowed. It's part of whatever covers.
Yeah.
It might just be that type of an election versus a city council member. That might be the difference, but
And I think
it's
school board may
between
be the same way.
$3,500 and $5,000 to put one name on
A
the
lot of
ballot.
money, yeah.
For us to do it, it's going to take legislative action.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sure, as a council.
We've wanted this for years. So Courtney has that in the notes, and we will follow up. And
Yep.
And I would also note that the process for candidacy is something that will likely take legislation as well, because that's part of our charter.
We'd have to change
So
the
we would
charter.
have
Take
to
a vote.
change the
We can
charter.
change the charter.
Right, so
We'll
we'd have to
look
go
at
to a
that.
vote of the people to do
We'd
that.
have to go with people to change it. Yeah, we can.
Let's do it in
Okay,
April.
anything else,
No?
Mr. Shiverdale?
nope, that's all I got.
Thank you very much. Mr. Moore?
Well, my second one, but I was told on the first half just to talk about the trash containers. My second half of that was if the chief or somebody could tell us, is there any way we could also empower Casey to do abandoned cars on streets, and it saves the police department time running out there running mules? Is that any possible legal, or putting orange stickers
Can I
on
s-
cars?
not hearing the question totally,
Yeah, go
we
ahead.
do have a rule that if you report a vehicle on the street to the police officers that doesn't move, they will go back, they will go and check on it and confirm it. And then once it's there 72 hours, they can go by and issue a ticket. But the police officers do not drive around and think, oh, that car's been sitting there 3 days, I'm gonna write it. They need to go by and confirm that it was there, and then wait 72 hours. If it's still there, they can issue a ticket.
Bill, has
I
to do
did-
with, has to do with,
Casey.
I did this this week.
I don't know.
We'd have to, yeah. We'll research that, Steve.
Bill, has to do
We
with.
heard,
if
I
it's-
heard you
if-
earlier, so we'll.
Has to
we'll
do
look
also with, will a car start and run on its own, or does it have to be towed? In other words, is the car being used actively, or
There's something in there about, that's more of if it's abandoned, and then we also have in there, it's gotta be a licensed vehicle.
Yeah.
It's gotta have a current tag.
I had this week. I called the police 2 days ago. There'd been a white car parked out at Southwind. It even had a strap under to tow it. The license plate was outdated by a year, had been sitting there. Several neighbors said something, and of course, finally, I called the police department. He went out, he called me back. He put a little sticker on it. Car was gone within 72 hours. It'd been sitting there for weeks and months. So just called the police. He did exactly what Bill said, and it was gone. So I just thank you very much for doing the job.
Was it towed or did they move the person?
I have no idea how it's gone.
It's
I don't know.
gone.
I have no idea.
Very good. Anything else, Steve?
It was there.
No, that's it.
We'll continue to work on that. Thank you.
I was-
Mr. Vaughn?
I did a good job.
I got one question for JC, just, you don't have to come up. But the brush containers at the fire department seem like they get abused pretty bad.
They do, and we're behind right now. Whereas out there off Tennyson, we got a heck of a mess there, and as soon as the loader gets free and stuff, we're gonna be loading that stuff up and getting it out of there.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I mean, would another dumpster or another container help, or you think they'd still end up that way anyway?
They could be half full, and they'll just start dumping it on the ground. I don't think adding any more containers is gonna stop what the problem is. I think what we gotta do is just try to watch whoever's dumping it just whenever they come in there. And it's a hard thing to do sometimes. We can't be
Sure.
there all the time to watch.
I mean, there were big logs in there.
I think we got some commercial haulers in there.
Oh, yeah,
I think so, too.
absolutely. Yeah. That was gonna be the next thing. I mean, there's not a way we can see that.
Put up some
Cameras.
Put up some cameras.
There are cameras out there. I do not know how far out they reach.
Okay.
Thanks for mentioning
That's
that.
all.
We will look into that, particularly on the camera angle. Anything else, Richard?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Gray?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stone?
One, we had an excellent training session last week at the elected officials conference. I really appreciate the city sending those of us that went. I learned a lot as a first-time city councilman. Appreciated that. A thank you to the fire department for hosting the hazardous material pickup on Saturday morning. They offered that opportunity for the citizens to bring out paint and other hazardous materials to be picked up, and that was a great service that they provided. While I was there, I did have a conversation with a few of the firemen, and one of the requests that came up was the placement of a hydrant on the back parking lot of that fire department to allow for some training, allow them to use that hydrant as training. And I don't know the proper forum to bring up that request, so I thought I'd just mention it here, if it's something we could follow up with. I mean, we're going to be running water out to the ball field complex when it gets built anyway, and so there might be just some opportunity to come off that main line and provide them a hydrant in the back so that they can train right there on site. And then I had a question for JC. Current status of the commercial recycling contract?
We have just redone with federal, and that's where we got a year contract with them. I
Commercial
think.
No, commercial side.
Oh, commercial, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. That's Callaway Recycling is taking care of all that.
So we have a contract with,
We do not.
We do not
We
have
do not.
anything with them.
We don't get involved in commercial
But
recycling.
They're the ones that takes over all the commercial stuff here.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
We have no say in what Callaway Recycling does or what they charge or who the customers are. We don't require it, and it's all optional.
Okay.
If you're a commercial entity, you contact
You
Callaway
contact-
Recycling or some
Okay.
other entity on your own and cut your own deal.
okay.
right.
I just remembered before I was a councilman, you were assisting with contract language, you were assisting with
We were also working
conversations
with
and
Kingdom Projects
facilitating.
at
I
that
know you
time.
weren't doing anything official with them, or we didn't have an official, capacity.
Right,
So there is commercial recycling available
there is.
in Fulton,
It's Callaway Recycling. That's who they can get in contact with.
And so if I, as a citizen, am interested in roll-offs being available again in the community, then I would need to contact Callaway Recycling about that? Because I understand that was previously part of
Yes,
the commercial
that's why I'm going to
contract.
answer that. It's yes,
Okay, thank you.
because Kingdom Projects took care of them before.
And it did.
Thank you very
And the
much.
ones we had, we put around, right? The containers we had, we've got
That was sitting at Walmarts and different places around.
out and around.
Yep, they were all done through Kingdom Projects.
Right, but what did we do with them now? Didn't we make some contracts?
One-
to-
One of them has been used to do glass recycling with.
Okay,
We're getting ready to do another one to put on the north end of town that'll be used out there in the same way.
awesome.
Yeah.
And we've leased a couple to, like the county and UE, and
Yeah.
if that's what
Ameren.
you're thinking about.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
So
we-
that's all.
but we just
ongoing.
leased those out to those entities, so.
Gotcha, okay.
For use on their property.
Right.
Okay.
So there's no plans or thinking about us doing any containers in any other public places at this time?
That would be entirely up to the council, but we have never been in the commercial business before. But that would be up to y'all to decide if that's what y'all would like to venture into.
I'll contact Callaway Recycling as a citizen and as a city councilman and find out what their answer is to that proposal.
I can tell you already, it's no. He picks up my cardboard, so I was talking to him about it. He's not interested.
They end up with a lot of trash and other things in there, right?
That's unfortunate.
I think
It
that
is.
at one point in time, the Callaway County was thinking about doing it, and I haven't really heard anything more out of Gary in the last 2 or 3 months on whether they wanted to pick it up or not. Because the roll-off containers were primarily used by the county residents.
Now, there is no limit what residents can put out in recyclables. If they stack it out, we're gonna pick it up.
Understand. That's why I have 2 of them at my house now. But I don't want 6.
Oh, come on now.
Anything else,
Thank you,
Mr. Stone?
JC.
Anything else? Okay,
And
thank you. Ms. Recluse?
I have a couple of things. The first one is, as anyone, I don't know your area of town, but it's out south, we've got streetlights that are on and off. They'll be on for a while, then they're off, then they go back on again. When you come up Tennyson by our new fire department, there's one doing that, it'll be out, then the next thing you know, they'll be out, it'll be on, and it'll be off again. And down on the corner from my house on Gregory and around on Jessica, there's the same thing. There's 3 lights in a row. I don't know if it's got something to do
Probably a
with
bad
where they're
photo
at.
cell.
Oh, okay, because those 3 go on and off.
And a car's headlights or something will turn them off.
With that, oh, really?
Or sometimes they'll pick up the light from themselves and turn themselves off.
Because it just kind of, yeah, and it's like they'll be on, then all of a sudden, I have one right in front of my driveway, and it's on, and all of a sudden, I look out, it's off. And then, later in the evening, you're looking, oh, do I call it's off? And then it's back on, so. I didn't know if there was a problem with that part of town.
It's nothing to do with that part of town.
Something to do with that part of town, perhaps.
Just around you.
Because it's around me, that's it. And one other thing, as you turn off 54 to come down Tennyson, that sidewalk on the left-hand side, I mentioned it before, the sidewalk where the fire hydrant is, the sidewalk's completely broken up. And it's just as you're coming south on 54, turn on Tennyson, it's on the first sidewalk on the left. There's only one sidewalk in here. On the left-hand side, just as you turn onto Tennyson off of 54. Sidewalks all broken up.
Very good, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's all, thank you.
Mr. West?
Nothing from me.
Thank you. Mr. Schuyler?
This question goes to Bill. Bill, what's the city's policy on certification CPR with the existing employees?
It's, we try to make sure that at least one person in each department is certified. And the firefighters do that, provide that training. And if you want to be certified, we will pay you as part of your job to go to that class and get certified.
I was just thinking it wouldn't hurt for council to be.
Michelle will include the notice in your next pay stub
How about
and
the-
she'll give you an invitation.
How about the swimming pool?
I mean, I
Are
was
they
surprised.
certified?
I was surprised when I found out that They had changed the procedure.
If they what?
They had changed the procedure on how they certify you now.
Okay, Michelle, can you put that in the next pay stub or something like that? Notice of the first aid training, CPR?
Ambulance district will also train you if you
Yeah.
want to know.
Anything else, Mr. Shaw?
No, I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much. Gave us a lot of work to follow up on, thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to resolutions. Resolution 3284 is a resolution that authorizes the mayor to enter into a contract with Central Missouri Vault Company of New Bloomfield. And I think that was included in your packets. Councilwoman Gray, would you please present Resolution 3284?
Resolution number 3284, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to execute a contract with Central Missouri Vault Company of New Bloomfield to sign all necessary documents in relation to said contract and establish an effective date. I make a motion to adopt resolution number 3284 at this council meeting.
Second.
Thank you. We're good. I have a motion and a second to adopt 3284. Is there any questions or discussion on this resolution? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good, thank you. 3284 passes. And we'll enter into that contract then. We'll now move on to resolution number 3285, which is a contract, or excuse me, which is a resolution that authorizes us to, the city to make application for a grant that has to do with improving the dog park. Councilman Shiverdecker, would you please present resolution 3285?
Yes, sir. Resolution number 3285, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to apply for all and sign all necessary documents in relation to a 2017 Pet Safe Bark for Your Park grant for the installation of a restroom facility at the city of Fulton Dog Park, and contingent upon receiving said grant monies, approving the city's labor contribution portion of 400 hours at an estimated value of $7,300. Make a motion we adopt resolution 3285 at tonight's meeting.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and second to adopt resolution 3285. Is there any further discussion of that motion? Or any
Yes, Mayor,
discussion?
there is.
Sure.
There's a typo in the body of the resolution, clerk. In section 1, second line, middle of it, where it says to apply for and sign all documents,
Okay, need a D?
needs a D. And
Clerk-
then,
Clerk will correct that. Oh, I'm sorry.
then just it appears that we're applying for a $10,000 grant, and then we're going to provide $7,300 of in-kind labor. What's the $10,000 going to cover? We've got a list of materials in the email, but then it also talks about maintenance and management. How long will what's the $10,000 going to pay for?
The materials necessary to construct the restroom and or shelter.
Okay. And then, so we expect all of those monies to be spent just
yeah.
on the materials and the
yeah.
construction. So then the ongoing cost of maintaining it becomes
It will be
part of our budget.
It'll be ours.
Do we have any estimates on what it's going to cost to I'm very much in favor
An
of this.
hour a week, a couple hours a week maybe.
And then what about
Just-
water or electricity, nominal?
The nominal.
Okay.
I would think we'd probably winterize it in the wintertime, that sort of thing.
I'm extremely happy that we found a way to do this
I am
through the dog park, because as a user of the creek trail, many times I wish there was a shelter or a restroom at that spot in the trail. So very happy about this.
Called a tree.
Very good.
I was gonna
Any
mention
other
the
But
discussion?
then that goes against an ordinance, and then I got the chief after me.
Man, he
And then
comes
I'm on the
chasing
front
me.
page of the newspaper.
Got him
No,
all covered right here, don't you?
it just makes me run fast.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion or questions, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 3285, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, the yeses have it. Resolution 3285 is adopted. We'll now move on to ordinances. We have first reading ordinances. We have one, bill number 1474 is an ordinance that amends the city's budget to reflect actual balances at the year end, I believe. Councilman West, would you please present bill number 1474, first reading, title only?
Sure, with pleasure. Bill number 1474, an ordinance authorizing amendments to the City of Fulton budget for the fiscal year 2016 as outlined by Article 8, Financial Procedure, Section 8.8, amendments after adoption, Paragraph C. Transfer of appropriations, Fulton City Charter, and establishing an effective date. I move that bill number 1474 be considered for movement to second reading at our next regularly scheduled council meeting by title only.
Second.
Very good, thank you. I have a motion and second to advance 1474. Is there any discussion of the motion or any questions about the motion?
I had one question, only being the new guy. The monies that we did spend on the sewer project, how much, the 4.8 that we deferred to 2017?
We will spend that in
We
17.
will spend
Yes.
that, so it's, the project's still ongoing?
That was, I
that's
mentioned
still
that
expected?
because, yes, it was a big part of the departments that were under budget.
Mhm.
I think we had budgeted whatever, and so since we only spent a portion of that,
Right.
I thought it was worth mentioning in my narrative.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that the work was
Yes.
still expected to be done. We're still
Yes.
expected to spend that
Yes.
money. It wasn't that, hey, we thought it was 8 million, but it was only going to cost us this
No,
much. All right.
no. I
4.3.
file a reimbursement request every month, so it's an
Yeah, you want to
ongoing
remember that
project.
contract is behind in schedule.
Yep.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Very good, thank
Thank
you.
you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of advancing 1474, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good, 1474 advances. We'll now move on to second reading ordinances. We will consider bill number 1472, which is an ordinance that has to do with a state block grant agreement for the airport improvement. It's an amendment to the airport improvement grant. Councilman Shilen, would you please present 1472 by title only?
If there's no objection, I'll do second and third reading tonight.
We're good.
Sounds good.
Bill number 1472, an ordinance authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to sign all documents in relation to the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission amendment to state block grant agreement. Amendment 3, relating to the airport improvement program for the city of Fulton and establishing an effective date. I move that bill number 1472 be approved for second reading, or third and final reading at tonight's meeting.
Second.
Very good, thank you. Have a motion and second to advance bill number 1472. Is there any questions on this grant or a comment? Yes, Ms. Gray.
I don't understand. What is the amendment? What's the agreement? What are we wanting to change?
It's an agreement with MoDOT. MoDOT is picking up 90% of this project.
Right.
There were some change orders in the contract, and this agreement with MoDOT is going to allow MoDOT to pick up 90% of the cost of that, those change orders. One of them was due to some bad soil under the concrete. It ended up being quite a bit more than digging out the bad soil to bring a rock to make sure it's going to last. And then the most recent one, and I believe the final one, Beverly, is going to be an airplane Help me out, Wayne.
Go
An
ahead.
airplane's got to come and certify the PAPI lights. And a PAPI light is the lights on the ground that tells a pilot if he's coming in at the right angle. And
That system, Bill, has to be certified every so often because when you're flying in the clouds, you can't see the ground. You rely on the system to put you in alignment with the runway.
Right.
But you're telling us that MoDOT's going to pick up this additional cost?
yes,
Okay,
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
okay,
that's why we have to have the agreement with them.
yeah, I'm good.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of advancing 1472 for third reading, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, very good. Councilman Shyland, would you please present 1472 for third reading by title only?
Bill number 1472, an ordinance authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to sign all documents in relation to the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission amendment for the state block grant. Amendment 3 relating to the airport improvement program for the city of Fulton, Missouri, and establish an effective date. I move that bill number 1472 be voted on and approved at tonight's meeting.
Second.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I have a motion and a second to advance 1472 for final consideration. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good, thank you. You've heard bill number 1472 presented 3 times, and it's now time for final consideration. Please answer yes or no to roll call.
Okay, Ms. Gray?
Yes,
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Reclue?
Yes?
Mr. Shiverdecker?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
And Mr. Shyland?
Yes.
8 council members affirmative.
Okay, very good, thank you. We'll now consider bill number 1473, which is an ordinance that has to do with grass, weeds, and debris as public nuisances. Councilman Vaughn, would you please present bill number 1473 by title only?
Okay, I will also, if nobody objects, read the bill for second and third time at tonight's meeting.
Thank you.
Bill number 1473, an ordinance amending Chapter 46, Environment, Article 2, Nuisance, Section 4635, Grass, Weeds, and Debris as public nuisance, Fulton City Code, and establish an effective date. I make a motion to place Bill 1473 for third reading at tonight's council meeting.
Second.
Very good, thank you. I have a motion and a second to advance bill number 1473 for third reading. Any further discussion?
what are we doing with this? Is this having contact with the landowners, or what is
It's
this?
clearing up some narrative in the existing ordinance that was causing us problems in enforcing it and making it, it was dragging it
Lengthening
out
the
much longer
process.
than was necessary. It's gonna make it much more quicker for us to take enforcement action.
Okay. Good, thanks.
Any other?
But we still have to give the property owners due notice and due process, and we still have to do all that. But we're just not gonna give them as long to take care of it.
Okay.
Very good. With not any other discussion, questions, all those in favor of advancing 1473, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay. Councilman Vaughn, would you please present 1473 for third reading, or excuse me, final reading?
Bill number 1473, an ordinance amending Chapter 46, Environment, Article 2, Nuisance, Section 4635, Grass, Weeds, and Debris as public nuisance, Fulton City Code, and establish an effective date. I make a motion to place Bill 1473 for final passage at this council meeting.
Second.
Very good, thank you. Have a motion and second to advance 1473. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, very good, thank you. You've heard bill number 1473 presented 3 times. It's now time for final consideration. Please indicate your decision by yes or no upon roll call. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Reclue?
Yes?
Mr. Shiverdecker?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Shyland?
Yes.
And Ms. Gray.
Yes.
8 council members affirmative.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now, look at announcements. Again, you can see our next council meeting is the 27th at 6:30. And it's also my pleasure to note that this past week, or maybe it was the first of this week, anyway, they've ordered that second fire truck, and it'll be a sister to the one that we currently have. I think Bill indicated it was one of the quicker purchases of that amount in a long time.
The fire truck company was in town to get entirely through the specifications. There were some minor changes we wanted to make on the one we just took delivery of, but it was basically a 13-minute meeting. Everybody's like, nobody orders a fire truck in 13 minutes. So we're just ordering a sister, a twin to the one that we had. They're going to move the pump controls to the other side of the truck, and they're going to do, and they want the cross lay, the pre-connected hose tray to be a little bit wider than the one we got. And all of those costs are included. I mean, the deal we made with the company is we're going to get the same truck, and it's not going to cost us a dime more than the last one. The company.
What's the delivery time?
Well, they said it's going to be a year, but this is going to be a year on the last one too, and it took about 15 months. So the delivery is when it shows up.
And when do we pay for it? Is that in part of the
We'll pay for it when we take delivery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does that mean you've got to put that in the new budget, or is it?
No, Kathy's going to forward this into the.
Okay.
Okay.
So Beverly basically, well, it won't be in this. It'll probably be in the 19 budget audit adjustment.
Okay.
Not even the 18, because it's not going to make the 18. 18.
It'd be close.
18 audit adjustment
Yeah.
that we'll do in early
Which will be
19.
in 19.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Now, the truck 10, have you got that sold yet?
Who what?
Truck 10, have you got that sold yet?
Somebody else asked me about that. It is supposed to be advertised on eBay or Gov Deals.
eBay. Never.
I did.
25
I was
minutes.
thinking there was some people here in town that was interested in it, that
Oh, I've been-
recycling or somebody was
I have been
interested.
contacted by a couple people in town, and I told them just check, but I didn't know when it was going to be exactly listed and posted, but just told them to keep checking Gov Deals, and when it comes online, they can bid on it like anybody else.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Just another reminder that MML is going to be September 10th through the 13th at Tantera. I'm still needing to hear from a few people, so I'll try to touch base with you on whether you'll be able to attend. So I will do my best to get with you as soon as possible.
One final thing. Kathy Alejandro called me about 4 o'clock and wondered what, and bragged on the splash pad, and then said, why do we open it at 11 o'clock? Can we open it sooner? So I got a hold of Clay, beginning in the very near future. I'm not going to promise tomorrow, but beginning in the very near future, we're going to turn it on at 10 o'clock. We do not want to open it any earlier than that because it does require some servicing and maintenance on a daily basis, and that'll give us some time to check the chemicals, backwash the filters, make sure it's in good operational and safe condition. But beginning very shortly, kids can go start having fun at 10 o'clock instead of 11.
Oh, and that was, the additional thank you was to, the senior center had a fundraiser down at Memorial Park and it was all about a kids carnival, so having the splash pad available at that time for them. And then a thank you to the fire department, the police department that came out and did some static displays for that fundraiser for the kids to meet and greet the firemen and the policemen. They did a great job.
Okay.
I'm not sure if police was there. I know the fire department was there. But the kids enjoyed it.
Very good. I do not have a need for an executive session, and I will consider.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded, and we are adjourned.